Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you on YouTube through StreamYard if you want to join us. And we've got Andrew Combo Salop with us as well. Andrew, what's going on, man? Combo, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all is well, Coach Nick.
All right.
Except I hear myself a little bit. Okay, now I don't anymore.
All right.
Yeah, all is well. I went to the gym the other day. Hit a one-legged game winner, but I also,
Oh.
for no reason, I dove on the floor and I shouldn't have. I scratched up my side and my wrist, and all I was thinking about was Coach Nick would have been mad right now. Coach Nick would have been
Yes,
upset.
as we all know, the worst position you can be in is on the floor with the ball. So let's not dive for it. Let's stay on your feet, scoop it up, and go. If you don't get it, and the other guy gets there first, then just jump ball, rip it out of his hands, whatever you like. And you don't get in these. Listen, I got so many knee burns, I suppose you'll call them, and all sorts of terrible stuff. I'm sure my back is screwed up now because of all of that. So don't do that, sports fans.
Yeah, I mean, I never was known for a hustle guy. I don't even know why I did that. It was
You
ridiculous.
weren't? You're not a hustle guy, huh?
Yeah, not really.
All right. Listen, getting over hustle is always a good decision. Now,
Hustle off the court, not hustle on the court. You know what I mean?
that's right. We all got to hustle. Which, by the way, I think we need to talk a little bit about. I don't know if you saw the Lakers Showtime that came out on HBO. Did you see it? It came out on Sunday.
I did not. Did you get to watch it?
I might have to launch like a special like post-show spaces or something to talk about each show because it's really good and it's fun and there's a lot of reminiscing. It's my youth basically. I was the biggest Lakers fan there was back then, and so to sort of see how they're dramatizing it is a really fun show. We're going to have one of the directors on the show coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. And the writer of the book, Jeff Perlman's going to come on as well. So I'm going to probably have them on together. We're going to talk about the book. We're going to talk about the show and everything in between. It's really exciting. So definitely check it out. If you have HBO or HBO Max, whatever, get it for a month or whatever, how long it's on, and you can watch it. Now, for the main event, or not the main event, we're going to add Twitter Spaces into this thing. So if you're out there on YouTube, if you're out there on StreamYard, there's a link in the description. Maybe I'll throw it in the comments too if you want to join the show. Here's the thing. I have a new soundboard and I can Bluetooth my phone into the soundboard, and I'm pretty sure it'll work when I add a Twitter space in here because people want to come on from there and talk. We can all hear it. So Combo told me I should do it, even though I'm not exactly clear it's going to work. But are you guys all ready out there on YouTube land? Because, we might as well open this up to Twitter, especially because what I've been dealing with on Twitter the last couple of days. I'm not even sure if you're aware, Combo, what's been going on, but I need some help. I need to, maybe I'll go sit on the couch and we can talk about it. All right, are you ready? So here we go. I'm going to hit start now on the spaces. I've only done this like once before. I got to remember how to do this and have it done properly. So start now. And I got to make sure, let's skip this. I don't need to invite anybody. And I got to make sure my mic is on. Okay. So I think we're going. I think it's even recording, and we'll see if people are out there. I see you're retweeting some stuff from me, Combo. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And if you're out there, bring your friends in. Let's talk, because here's the thing, and this is why the title of the show was about Giannis. So I had a glass of wine. I was at the family, the in-laws' house. We were kind of just chatting about whatever, and I kind of was gripped by this notion that when you first of all, Ben is right. The real MVP are the friends we make along the way. And but for MVP, it just seems to me. And by the way, we've talked about this before. We've argued that whether or not anybody really knows what the MVP award is supposed to reward. So, but the point being that in my mind, if you're going to be the MVP, then in theory, you should have on your team the role of here's the ball on the last second shot. You go create the shot to help us win. Not necessarily shoot the ball, but you create the shot. You drive and you kick or whatever it is. They all double and you pass it and get an open shot. That triggered all the Giannis people. Maybe I said Giannis. I can't remember the very beginning, but it triggers Giannis because obviously Giannis isn't that guy. He doesn't really have that role down the stretch of all these tight games. Now, really quickly, if you're out there on Twitter land and you can hear me, can you let me know if you can hear me? I'm kind of curious, but how do they let me know? I don't know. I suppose they could tweet me. Tweet me if you're out there on Twitter listening. There's a few people in there right now. Let me know if you can hear us and you can hear Combo talking too, because I'm really, got to make sure this is working. But Combo, what are your thoughts so far on what I laid out there as far as what the MVP and the role on his team should be?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I would say that, obviously Giannis's two-way impact is insane, right? He has huge impact on both sides of the floor. But to me, the MVP is Jokic, what he's been doing lately, the advanced numbers. He's could score on all three levels. He's make everybody around him better. And when you're comparing him and Embiid, I don't think their records are even that much different. When they're saying that the Sixers record is, they're just in a better standing place, but they're not. Their record isn't even that much better. So I would go with Jokic. I predicted him MVP, and I think he is the MVP so far. But Giannis is in the mix because of his two-way ability, and obviously Embiid is having a great season.
Okay, but I'm not sure you even addressed my question, right? Because, and here's the thing. I had to walk people off the ledge all day long yesterday and even today with, I'm like, if you don't think that guy needs to have that role on his team, that's cool. I'm fine with that. I understand why Giannis won, his couple of MVPs in the past. I mean, the guy is dominant. I just think that it just is weird to me. And this also goes to like a guy like Shaq. There's only been a couple MVPs who haven't been the guy, and for the last second shot, they will get the call, right? They were afraid that Shaq would get fouled, so they wouldn't necessarily throw it to him. Of course, someone shows me one clip in '97 when they beat Utah on a turnaround jumper, from the post, which is a really nice shot that Shaq took. But so I forgot about that one. But he wasn't the guy with the ball in his hands, ready to create something. And but by the way, it could also be like Hakeem, who they'd throw it down in the post and they'd say, okay, go, and he would do a move and he would try and score. That's also having the ball in your hand and doing something to either create it or maybe he dished for a shot. So Middleton ends up being that guy for good or for bad. I mean, listen, it's a better fit. It makes more sense for the Bucks to have him handling the ball, running the pick and roll, and letting Giannis be like the traditional center rolling. And then someone else wanted to say, well, how about this? And they showed that one thing against Charlotte this year where and it was a beautiful play design where they've had Giannis in the backcourt and then had him cut as fast as he could, and they threw it to him on the run. And as a cutter, he catches it and goes right to the basket and scores. So, yeah. Okay, I mean, that's sort of what I'm talking about, but not really. Okay. And anyway, we know that Bucks fans are, I don't know, there's a certain, well, we have to talk about Russ as well. And Russ, did you see his little passionate,
I would say that obviously when everything runs through you, there's a higher chance for you to win MVP. I don't think that totally takes him out of the conversation. One could make the argument that everything ran through John Stockton, but Karl Malone won one year, but part of that was because of Michael Jordan's voter fatigue with him. Right. But I mean, that's an example of, really everything didn't go through Karl first. It went through John, and that was delivered to Karl through John. So I think Giannis is definitely in the mix. I think it's definitely harder when you're not necessarily the closer or the guy who's initiating offense for sure.
Let's bring in the Twitter space request because I want to see if this is even working. Abdiaziz, can you hear me? Did I have this? Oh, I have it up. Are you there? Well, let's see if he's going to jump in here. I invited him in here to come on. He requested. Let's see. But I don't know if he's there or not. Is he on there? He's muted still, so that's why we don't hear him. But let's see. Let's try Jason real quick and see if Jason wants to come on. And now this is what you were talking about, Combo, about having more than one person here and getting a cacophonous. But let's find out. But how do I do this again? Where are the people that are requesting? One request. Let's try this. Jason on Twitter. Are you there, Jason? Let's see here. Is this not going to work, man?
I can hear you.
Oh, I can hear you. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, it's really, really low. Maybe my phone needs to be turned up.
Jason, can you hear Combo, which is me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so it's good. Working. We got half the battle. At least you can hear Combo and he can hear you. Jason, you want to talk about this, about Giannis and this whole thing, or what do you want to talk about?
No, I'll wait. I think I want to chime in maybe a little bit later, but I do want to speak.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, you said you were going to talk about Russ, so I kind of wanted to hear what you were going to say, but I had an opinion on everything that's been going on with him.
All right. Well, you want me to really quickly my 40-second analysis of that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel really bad. Okay. It really made me, as a human, feel terrible for the guy. He was kind of near tears. He was talking about how his family doesn't want to go to the games. That shouldn't happen, right? The family should be able to go to the NBA games and enjoy that. I'm also not really get the guy that's going to be able to really get on Twitter and respond to this. And part of the reason is because I was the guy showing these issues in his game for several years up until now. And so That's complicated as well. So, but my issue is I truly feel bad as a human for one human to the other. What about you?
I agree. I don't. I agree partly. So I think it's more nuanced and it's not just black and white. Whether because people are saying kind of taking both sides. Some people are saying he's, he deserves the criticism, and other people are saying, it's going too far. And I agree. There's no excuse for death threats. There's no excuse for over the line harassment going at people's families. People's families should be completely left out of it. I don't care how horrible they're playing. His wife is not playing. His children are not playing. There's no excuse for that. It's unacceptable. It's disgusting behavior. There's no excuse. But on the other hand, Russell Westbrook, I don't like some of the ways that him and his wife are framing things, and to a certain extent, because as I just gave the disclaimer, the death threats, even if you're not giving a death threat, just saying anything to his wife, even going to adding his wife and calling him Westbrook and saying tell your husband to play better is a lot. On the other,
go ahead.
Russ makes $44 million. So when they talk about, I'm just playing the game I love, brother, you can play the game you love at the Y. Some of this criticism comes with the game. Like you pointed out about how you feel bad about some of the videos you made. I watched them. These are from videos 5 years ago. I used to be a fan of Russ, but as I pay closer attention to his game and I watch videos like yours, but you're not the only person. There's some other people who made videos analyzing some of the things that he does. Russ is very bullheaded. He's very hard-headed, and the way he plays has been basically an anti-winning style of play for a very long time. And he gets a lot of money to play this game. And unfortunately, as long as it stays within the court, like you, even though you may feel bad, I don't think you should, because you've never crossed that line. You've never gone at his family, even when you made the videos talking about his flaws and how he's not a great finisher and stuff. Mm-hmm. You never, you've kept it on the basketball court, and that's part of being a professional basketball player. If Russ wants zero criticism, he needs to retire. But again, just to reiterate, that does not justify or okay the death threats. And even, like I said, even if it's not death threats, saying anything to his family, period, about him is over the line. But the Westbrook and all of that stuff, that's part of basketball. Just like the Mr. Triple Dub and all the praise is part of basketball. It's a two-sided coin, and this is part of the extremely large salary that Russ gets. And again, that doesn't justify abuse, but at the same time, it just comes with the game. And so to on one extent, Russ just unfortunately he has to suck it up as far as the on the court criticism. But as far as off the court or death threats or anything about said towards his family, it's over the line. But that's my take.
Yeah, Combo, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Anything basketball related, I think, is totally fair game when you play basketball. And I understand as a former basketball player, you're always your own favorite player, right? So you see your whole journey. You went through all these tough times, all these great times. I mean, when somebody talks bad about your game, sometimes you feel it, but you have to learn how to tune that out. And I totally agree, though, that if it's basketball, it's totally fair. If you say anything about his basketball game, I think that is totally fine. If you say anything about family or personal life, it's totally uncalled for and it shouldn't be a part of the conversation.
You remember when Steve Blake played for the Lakers maybe, and he missed a game-winning shot? This was probably 2011 and whatever it was. And like his wife had said that they were getting like death threats too, or some awful stuff yelled at them. So there's something about maybe the Lakers, because here's the thing: we know Russ has heard these.
Danny Green,
and Danny Green too. Yeah, we know that that Russ has heard these things his whole career, and like he probably was like, please bring it on. Yeah, I want to. He would like live off of that. And I think it shows you how fragile he is now. Because, by the way, you can see it on the court. The way, since he had that 9 turnover game and was really defiant in his post-game conference, I had tweeted that video out, and like it kind of went around. Since then, he's really almost like cut down on his turnovers to some degree, but he's so he's a lot less aggressive now. And he's in his head. I feel like, you can see it on the court, the way he's playing. So it makes me feel bad. Like he's really not handling this well. Either it's an LA thing and the pressure is so much more intense here than anywhere else, and you can really feel it. He's also probably getting a little bit toward the end of his career, or closer to the end than the beginning. So athletically, he's not, firing as well as he had in the past. But the bottom line is, we're all human. I mean, listen, I've had NBA coaches kind of, yell at me, maybe in a good-natured way, but yell at me a little bit about some of my criticisms of teams in the past, and that they have jobs, and the owners that could come in there and say, why are you running horns, and the coach knows that the owner has no idea what he's talking about, but he probably saw like half of a video of mine and is like now upset about it. So it's interesting though, and the bottom line is the ego that Russ had probably prohibited him from improving. Right. I think that's the issue we may all have, is that these are the issues that I've seen. They've always been this way. And he doesn't seem to want to work on the finishing, work on the shooting to improve. And it's just magnified now. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's actually my point and my problem with him. Again, this is all on the court criticism. This has been my problem when I started to become disappointed, because, again, a lot of people are acting like this is just this a year. But his averages in the eye test reflect that he's the same guy that he's always been. It's just on lower volume. Mm-hmm. Russ has disappointed me year after year in the playoffs, going back to OKC when they lost in 5 games. And he was talking, and again, about the trash talking, the on-court trash talking. He was talking crazy trash to Dame while getting destroyed. Mm-hmm. So he does this all the time. He disrespected Pat Bev publicly. I'm a Clippers fan, so I remember some of these things, particularly, especially about Clippers players. Speaking of the Clippers players, Kawhi and PG went through months and months of harassment, and you didn't see their family coming out and playing victim. But again, the death threats are a different thing, and I will never, ever justify that. But Russ, as far as on the court criticism, a lot of this, in my personal opinion, is deserved. And again, on the court, I want to keep re-emphasizing that because I know how people like twist and misinterpret things. Mm-hmm. As far as on the court, a lot of this criticism of his game is justified and well overdue, because nothing else, the losing, especially in the playoffs, never made him change. There's clips of him yelling at Steven Adams for missing a layup that would have got him a triple-double. So Russell Westbrook has had a lot of on-the-court flaws, and unfortunately, a lot of it has come under the microscope because of the team he's on and the specific player he's playing with, LeBron James. This is kind of a history with LeBron James teammates, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, etc. People become scapegoats. So these are parts of what Russ signed up for, unfortunately, because as far as I heard, not only did LeBron push for him to come to LA, but he asked out of DC. He went to Washington leadership and asked them to trade him. And even last year, you want to look at what he did last year in the playoffs with Washington, 30% from the field, but he averaged a triple-double. It's a very selfish style of play. It's a very, like I said, I don't know how else to say it, but anti-winning style of play. But just one more time, again, the death threats, the personal attacks or messages to his family is completely uncalled for, completely out of line, and disgusting behavior.
Well, Jason, I thank you so much for coming on the show and breaking that down for us. I mean, I think you said it perfectly, and Russ is going to have to deal with it. So we'll have more to talk about on this, I'm sure. I mean, more things coming up, but thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, the other thing is just to throw out some parallel in my life. The shit that I took, Combo, for those years of trying to show Russ is not as bad as death threats, but it certainly was like being called Westbrook for all those years. I had people coming at me and accusing me of all sort of stuff. They now understand it. I don't feel any vindication whatsoever. Okay. Everyone is now getting on board and finally figuring this out. And it's been the last several years because it's kind of been coming clear. And I've been to some Laker games. Nothing stands out to me in what they're yelling, but you can hear the agita. Like everyone gets, they're wringing their hands and he misses the shots. And you can see like they get more and more, stressed out about him being out there the way he's playing.
Worked up.
But it's not anything more than that. And yet here we are where I don't know. I mean, is Westbrook the one thing that's triggering the family when they're there and they don't want to hear that? I mean, he made he talked about his son loving the last name and how that is, the disrespect on him. Obviously, I don't think death threats are happening at the games. I think they're probably happening somewhere else. So, you know what I mean, Combo? It's weird to me that would suddenly change, or that environment is that much different. But either way, if you look at his face, look at his body language, like he's definitely affected by this.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's the play and just everybody talking to him has gotten in his head. But I guess he feels that, the Westbrook thing is his name is maybe something him and his family are proud of, and somebody, talking about his name is somewhat humiliating to him. But I mean, I'm not going to tell him how to run his family, but he definitely needs to talk to his son. I think I would talk to my son if I was in that situation and tell him that these people don't mean anything. And like, it doesn't matter what they say. It matters what happens. Like, my basketball life is something separate. Whatever happens in his house is what matters, And
Right.
I think that's a great talk to have with your family. But he feels that it's disrespectful to his name, but that doesn't mean that people will stop. And he's in the public eye, so it's
Oh,
just
no.
something. It's just something that he might have to deal with. And to your point about the coaches telling you that they're angry at you, and the GM or the owner will be coming to them with something from your video, like, you're doing your job. The coaches is doing their job, and the GMs and owners are doing their job, and everybody got to do their job. You can't be worrying about what everybody else is happening in their job, So you just got to, as long as you're not disrespectful, of course, and it's all basketball, but everybody just got to continue to do their job, and everybody's going to get criticism. The greater you are at something, the more criticism you're going to get most of the time. So it's something you have to deal with.
Well, let's bring out Agaya, who's been really patiently waiting to come on the show on the YouTube side. And remember, if you're over on Twitter Spaces and you want to click on the link, find your way over to YouTube and you can come on the show with a video if you like. But I'll also got some more people I see are requesting. We'll bring you on Spaces in a minute. But Agaya, are you there? I feel bad. It's been a little while of waiting, but let's see. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm here, coach.
Hey, what's going on? What do you want to talk about?
So I was thinking about this, like, how you posted your 3-point contest video, and you said like Karl Anthony Towns is scoring, like, won the contest, and how 7-footers are going to be shooting more threes. I was thinking, is the game going to kind of go in the backwards? Because when the 3-point line started taking off, a lot of shorter players started coming back into the game, and a lot of shorter players got more opportunities in the game. So where do you see the game going from a long-term point of view with this?
Well, I think what I was thinking at some point was in 5 years, you're going to have 40% 3-point shooters on high-ish volume on all 5 positions, right? That's probably where we're going to go to at some point. But it still makes sense that you have a guy that can go down low and get buckets there too, because it might not, you could have a team, believe it or not, who sort of collectively loses their rhythm and like they all shoot poorly. We saw that with Houston, right? And if Houston had a low post scorer who they could throw it down, at least for like a couple possessions, like that would have broken up the cycle. And they would have seen the ball go in, and then they would have maybe able to make threes, because there's a whole psychological aspect of the 3-point shot. So the bottom line is, I just think where we're going is more and more skill at every position, positionless basketball. Probably, I kind of want to say smaller, but then you have the Celtics here who are, really kicking ass with, Horford and Robert Williams in the lineup together. So I think, but I do think it's going to be more and more just more and more skill at every position and positionless basketball, and certainly I think more shooting. I think that's not going to stop. The frequency of 3-point shooting might start to tail down a little bit. I think 50% was probably where they're realizing it shouldn't go any higher than that, and I bet you it might settle down a little bit lower as we can go farther, and you might see like 45, 46, maybe an outlier every year gets to 50, 51 or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. All right. Another thing I want to say about Westbrook issue is, it's like when you're trying to make it to the league, and when you're in the situation as you are, as Combo is, as like all you guys are, it's like you kind of are asking for this stuff, because you cannot always go with criticism is always going to be there, and you always have to take it, but you cannot always let it affect you. You have to take a constructive criticism and throw the rest away. It's like,
I used to joke about that and say, like, every head coach in their contract, I think it has a clause that says that some jerk like me is going to criticize them, and they acknowledge that. And you're right, it comes with the job. And by the way, I'm a little bit worried about what happens when the Lakers go on the road, because I would have to imagine these fans are going to go even harder at him, knowing that there's a crack in there that they can exploit. So I kind of. Listen, it was a nice moment, and it was honest and real and authentic, but it also might make things worse on the road. Now, that said, it might help at home, right? Maybe they'll rally around him a little bit. And Lord knows, Lakers fans, no offense to you guys, but like, you guys are brutal. And the Bucks fans are kind of brutal too. Heat fans, there's a few fan bases that could be brutal. I think Philly could probably be in there too. The Knicks, they count, right? The Knicks are up. Hell, the Knicks will chant F Trae Young like at any chance they get, right? Even if Trae Young's not even in the building.
They'll boo Julius. So
Yeah, absolutely. So not every fan base is like that. So you could argue maybe OKC was never like that for him. He had a bit of a sheltered home life there where,
Yeah.
you know,
I heard they did a great job of, I don't know if it's great or if you're, almost hurting the person for the long run, but of just sheltering their stars in a way, just like you're saying, because they want those guys to stay. Like they wanted KD and Russell Westbrook to stay. So they, from the media to everybody else, to the fans, to everybody who worked there, they did their best to shelter them. And obviously that's not the case in LA.
No. One day we'll figure out exactly why Russ became a point guard. Were we arguing about this before I think it was some other UCLA guy, but he was behind Collison at college, didn't really play point guard. And then day one in NBA decided he's going to play the most complicated position without ever having much experience there. And they let him do that. And I had always said, even back then, and the criticism is that if they just played him at shooting guard, where the decision making is a lot different, and you're attacking from different angles, he would be absolutely fantastic. And we had even seen that. Can you go back in your brain as far back as when Eric Maynor was on the Thunder? I don't know if you remember that, but they were running out lineups with Maynor and at point guard and Russ at shooting guard, and it was much better. I mean, we even saw that with Harden out there with them in the first year of run when Harden was a rookie, and they got all the way to the finals that way. So it's a weird timeline that he chose that didn't have to be chosen. That I think a lot of things would have been different if they had gone a different way.
Well, back then the NBA wasn't as much about spacing as it is now, right? So it's almost harder to have Westbrook off the ball now than it was back then because you need more players that provide spacing. But I honestly, I think his mid-range was a lot better back then, right? Like he was shooting.
I mean, yeah, that was always at least the argument. He can really shoot that. It's certainly not anymore. And I want to go back. I'm sure we can pull out those numbers and really look and see if it's that much better. But at least in my mind's eye, it was a little bit better. Like he hit them. Now he's trying to bank these shots, and it's like it's a nightmare. But he's in his head. He's not playing free. So anyhow, does that cover it for you? I think.
Yeah, I have one last thing to say. I was thinking, back then before in the NBA didn't even have as much talent. So right now, even a lot of talented and high potential stars are not even getting that much space that they need to show off. So that is also holding them back. We saw that with Jared Allen getting a trade and a lot of players getting a trade to go somewhere else and getting space, like Alex Caruso. It's like back then, that wasn't really that big of a problem.
Right. That's another great point, right, Combo?
No, 100%. I mean, everything's about situation. Like I've been talking about the rookies of the Atlanta Hawks that I think if they got major opportunity, they would be on all rookie teams, in my opinion, especially Jalen Johnson. And he's playing in the G League. He's not getting any minutes. So a lot of it is about opportunity. A lot of it is about fit as well.
Yeah. And then, even look at Ayo in Chicago, who finally got that shot, but he was sitting there doing nothing for a while. And all these guys are awesome. And so you get them in the right situation. The coaches encourage them properly and give them an opportunity. And, most of these guys could do some real damage. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of that. And the only ones who wouldn't necessarily would be like the real old guys at the end of the contracts or end of their careers, who don't have it much anymore. So anyway, well, yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the delay, but good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Coach. All right, see you. Bye, Coach.
You got it. All right, should we go back to the Twitter? We got someone else who wants to come on. We got Devin who wants to come on the space. Let's do that. Let's go back and forth. Right? Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right. I'm so excited that this actually works. I've been wrestling with the technology for so long, but this is exciting. So Devin, let's bring him on here and let's see how this works. Dev Griffin, are you there? The real Devin De Niro. We're connecting. There's a little bit of a delay here as we connect. But now where did it go? Hey, Devin, are you there?
Yep, mic's on.
All right, you sound good. What's happening?
Am I open to say anything, or we staying on the subject? Of what? I'm sorry,
you can anything you want, man.
Anything. All right. Well, just kind of looking at the topic, y'all talking about Giannis as a closer, and to be a superstar at that level, I kind of want to get the definition. What y'all looking for when you mean closer? Because when I look at stars, I feel like they like, oh, well, we need a shooter like a Jordan or Kobe style guy. But I feel like if you're a star in this league, you got to be able to take advantage of mismatches to get over that hump. Okay. So LeBron. So that's why I was kind of really, what are you asking about Giannis being a closer?
Great. Listen, thank you. Because let's go back to that anyway, because I don't think I don't feel like I've unburdened my own psyche off of this, because it was annoying. Like it's almost like, okay, again, if you don't think that he has to have that role to win MVP, like I'm fine with that. But if you don't agree with me, like the people were like, it wasn't people. It was probably like 8 8 people on Twitter, but it seemed like it was a thing because everyone else who liked that tweet, I think, there's hundreds of those. So anyway, but here's the point. The closer to me, like, remember, LeBron James gets a lot of crap for passing the ball in those situations at times. And I'm like, why? That's the perfect position he did. He made the right play, got the right shot for the good teammate who was open. But it was in his hands, and it began the process that way. We're like, here, you do that for us, and he will do that. So it's a mix between like what Michael did, and but by the way, Michael's most famous probably for passing to Steve Kerr, right? Like that was the big thing, right? I mean, he's most famous for hitting the last shot, but like,
yeah, right.
Aside from that, he passed to Steve Kerr, like that kind of thing. But it was in his hand. They gave it to him and said, Michael, you are the MVP. You are certainly the MVP of our team, and this is your role. And, listen, this has been a few years now, right? Well, Middleton is the guy where he has the ball in his hands and he's going to run the pick and roll probably with Giannis. Giannis will have gravity and that will open up something else. But, it's not the same, right? Giannis does not play that same role as the other guys I'm talking about. I mean, is that the hottest take of all time?
Well, I think he was actually doing more of that when they used to struggle, right? They found different ways to get him off the ball now where he's not just dribbling into walls and he's not the guy who's initiating offense as much as more misdirection now. But I think there's definitely less of that now than there used to be for sure.
Okay. And what about you, Devin?
I mean, honestly, I think it just comes down to winning. You know what I mean? If they losing and Giannis is the one that's not able to close out the games, like with any team, I think that's where he gonna get that criticism from. But they just kind of coming off of being victorious. He got all these other awards. But in my mind, if he really want to get over that hump, I think that's the last thing Giannis got to become, or else he's just gonna pretty much ride out the rest of his career being just this super freakishly athletic guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think he almost need to become that closer if he want to just get over that last hump of while Kevin Durant is still ranked better than him.
Right. And the pushback was like, well, what do you expect him to do? Like a 3 dribble combo, right? Harden step back for 3. I mean, listen, that would be amazing if he could actually do that. It's not really his thing. But I get it. Like, it's not like I don't understand why he won MVP. The guy is physically so dominant. And he's gotten even better at what I used to really get frustrated with. And by the way, I was the first guy on the Giannis wagon here. Like, let's not forget that. Like, I was the guy that like did the big video and explained why him at point guard was really working well or wasn't fair. But I also tend to think that there needs to be progression. And there is. He's gotten better. He's shooting free throws at 73, 74%. So you can't just like put him on the line now and like what like Butler did against when they played the Heat. Butler took a stupid foul with him with Bam in perfect position. He hits the 2 free throws, which got him that much closer for guess who, Middleton, to hit a 3, and then guess who, Drew Holiday, to hit the game winner. But like that's another good example. And I know that like everyone's like, yeah, you just watched the one Miami game, and now you're thinking that Giannis never has it. But I'm telling you, I've been watching this for years, and it's not. Giannis would have had that ball in his hands, bringing the ball up full throttle, and see what happens. And he didn't do that. So it's not his role. I mean, and by the way, it shouldn't be his role. And if you're fine with that, that's cool. I just scratch my head. And there's only a couple players who have won MVP that don't have that role. And Shaq was probably the other one because they were so afraid of him getting fouled that they didn't want to throw it into him. And again, throwing it into him in the post is still one of those things. Here, go get us the win, big man. And they wouldn't really do that. And I don't know what Shaq feels about that. I hope he's not mad at me because I love the guy. And by the way, I love Giannis. Giannis is not only, first of all, he's a dominant, great player. He's even a better person and an even better teammate. So all those things are really important. I just feel like if you want to be the MVP of the entire NBA, then at the very least on your team, you should be the guy who they're going to get the ball to. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't agree with that, listen, we can still hang out and have a good time and talk anything else you like. It's fine with me. I don't care. But man, I was just getting, roasted out there on Twitter for that. It was crazy.
Well, all right. And my last question, completely different. Anybody can answer. Is Ben Simmons a good role player, or is he actually a star in the league?
He's a star.
Is Ben Simmons a good role player or a star in the league? Ooh.
He's a star.
Go ahead, Combo.
I mean, just from his impact on both sides of the floor, he's a star. He's a star level defender. And the things he does on offense are just elite. Like, he's a great passer. He's great in transition. He has great IQ. He's a great rebounder. He's a great passer. He's a star, in my opinion. There's one thing he can't do, and everybody harps on that, but he's been an all-NBA player. How many all-NBA players aren't stars? So, yeah, I feel Ben Simmons is a star.
Yeah, and he's an all-star. He's an all-star for a reason, and I'm
all NBA, all NBA.
Yeah, so there's no question. I mean, I kind of see what you're saying when you look at, like, if you boil down how he operates in the half court, for instance. It's like, okay, he's kind of playing like 90s power forward or something like that, but he's got a lot of ability, and I'm just praying that this is going to be a great thing for him, and because first of all, if it doesn't work out that well in Brooklyn, it's going to be the all-time worst trade, right, of all time, because clearly it's working out, at least so far in Philly with Harden. Like, I don't know if anyone's going to beat those guys, and so you have to hope that Brooklyn gets something in the back, and they absolutely should. It should work really well, and anyway, so I don't think he's just the role player. I think he's a star as well. All right.
Got it.
All right, I think is that it? I guess that's it from.
I mean, I got one more good topic, but I don't really want to hog the mic.
Well, you know what? We kind of have, we have some time, so we'll throw one more quick thing out there. What do you want?
What star can't afford to not win a ring in the next 3 years? Because I feel like some people kind of getting a pass right now, but you really got guys like Harden on the line. Like,
you answered it.
Yeah,
I think you answered it.
I think it's got to be Harden. I was going to say like CP3, but like, I think Harden is probably that guy, right?
Yeah, because if he doesn't win a championship, it's going to I'm not going to say damaging to his legacy, but his legacy definitely won't be the same, right? If he doesn't have that ring. I mean, a lot of these guys have rings now. So, and he's the guy who's like in his prime. So a lot of these other guys are younger. So yeah, it's definitely Harden, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. So there you go, Devin. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Sure, man.
All right. So let's go back. We got people on the other side, on the YouTube side, who want to come in on video even, which is always a really exciting thing now. So if you're on the Twitter space, you can listen in like you are, but if you're over on the YouTube side, you'll be able to actually see these people. So let's bring Ball Fake Podcast in, a friend of the Breakdown, who I've been on his podcast a couple times. What's going on, my man?
What's up, Coach Nick? What's up, Combo? How you guys doing?
We're doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. I only have one question off the top of my head. Since we're talking about the MVP race, I've had this, idea for the last couple of years as to how we can kind of fix, the voting process of it, because everybody complains about the lack of criteria, right? I think a large part of that has to do with the name of the actual award, it being the most valuable player. And with that being said, I feel like they should change the name to maybe, most outstanding player of the year, just because we can utilize advanced analytics and things like that to kind of measure value, in particularly for guys individually. But I don't think that there's a way that we can absolutely nail and compare, how valuable Kyrie Irving is to, the Brooklyn Nets, as opposed to a guy like James Harden is to Philadelphia. So what is y'all's thoughts on that, so to speak? Should we change the name of the MVP award?
Well, Combo, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, somewhat semantics at some point, but I definitely see what you're saying, because everybody thinks of the word valuable differently, right? So it just depends on how you personally think of that word, and everybody has a different meaning for that word. So let me ask you this, though. Let's say the season ended right now. Who would be your most outstanding player, and who would be the most valuable player, and it would be one and the same?
See, even with that, this year's race it's kind of an anomaly, just because like everybody has been outstanding. You look at Giannis's numbers, Joel Embiid situation, Nikola Jokic is holding it down there in Denver. I got them as a dark horse coming out of the Western Conference. I mean, I even feel like guys like Luka Doncic have started to creep into the conversation, but he probably won't get any consideration just because, his percentages shooting the basketball are down across the board. But if you were to ask me that same question last year, I'd probably be able to give you a better answer.
I think I could give you like a pretty cool answer. I think Ja sounds outstanding to me. Like, what everything Ja is doing is like really outstanding, but valuable, I would probably go with Jokic, and I could even probably argue to go Jokic with both of them. But that's probably like the way I would go with it.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic has had it the whole time, it seems, and he's also carrying a team that's been, missing two of their big stars. So that's a really nice part of the narrative, and the narrative is a big part of the MVP discussion. But you're right; I've always been frustrated because I don't know what the award is supposed to give, what's supposed to mean, which is why, like, this whole thing with the Giannis thing, must have struck a nerve. I mean, the Bucks fans grip their phones really tightly. Is all I can tell you. And
what did you say about Giannis? I didn't see what you said.
I had just said that, like I said earlier, like basically, I don't remember if I even called out Giannis, but they knew exactly what I meant when I said, if you're going to be the MVP, you should probably have the role on your team of the guy where they give the ball to and say, go win us this game in the last possession. Because what they're throwing out at me is Giannis leads the league in fourth quarter scoring. Combo, how many minutes are in the fourth quarter?
12.
Yes. It's a lot of time to be scoring, not in the last possession like I'm talking about. Now, here's what's interesting. I dug through some numbers. Let's go to crunch time, which is like 5 minutes and under 5 points. That is fascinating. Most of the other guys who are in the MVP discussion are, a point or 2 points per game in that crunch time ahead of the next guy on their team. Giannis is 2.2 points per game, and Middleton is 2.1. So there's nobody else who is that close with another guy scoring wise behind him in a way that, like, that to me says something to you in a crunch time situation. He has not separated himself as the guy. And we know this by watching that he's not the guy. He's going to get those points on rolls and they're going to feed him. He's going to dunk it. Right. He'll get an offensive rebound off a really strong, holding the guy in underneath the basket and then grabbing and dunking it again or whatever. That's how he gets those points down in the stretch. And everyone was freaking out. And then some people wanted to actually say that, no, it's not right. He does get the ball a lot. I just don't see it. And I'll go through some more footage if you want, but I don't know, unless they're radically changing the way they play their game in the games I don't watch. You know what I mean? To me, it's like, and by the way, it's not like I'm saying, I had a couple people say, well, do you mean that that invalidates his MVPs? I'm like, no, I understand why he won it. The guy was dunking on everybody, right? Of course. What do you want? That should be, that's a dominating performance. But the bottom line is, and the Shaq was the same way. I always would scratch my head and say, that's just so weird to me that this guy is going to be the MVP and not be the guy who gets the ball to win the game for his team. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and meanwhile, I'm all fragile because probably 10 Bucks fans were yelling at me the whole time for 2 days straight. And it feels like it's everybody, right? So I don't know where we're at. Let me just do this real quick. We have a super chat. It looks like from Ant. No question involved. I don't know what happened to the question, but at least we want to make sure we give you a big shout out. And if you want to get your question from the comments up on our screen and a big shout out and actually answer it, then the super chat's the way to go over on the YouTube side. So thank you, Ant, and maybe we'll figure out what the question is at some point. But anyhow, what else, Ball Fake? Anything else?
What's your okay? I've been thinking about the Brooklyn Nets situation. Mm-hmm. Do we see Ben Simmons at all this season?
Yeah. He's going to be in the gym in Philly, right? But he won't play, I don't think. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be back in the next, I bet within 10 days. I bet.
He'll be back right after that Philly game. Right after. Nah, I don't think they would do that though. They can't bring him back right after.
But soon.
Yeah, but soon. Yep.
But I'll let you guys go. Y'all have a good night. All right.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we got Josiah's out there. He's been waiting patiently too. Let's bring him in, and then we have a couple more people on the Twitter side, so we can do that too. Oh, wait, we got a super chat real quick. Let's get to that because I hate to lose momentum on those. Really quickly, sorry, Josiah. We'll get you. Will the Clippers beat the Warriors? And do you have any other thoughts on the Clippers this year aside from when the Stars get back? Okay, let's answer the first question really quickly, and then we'll go to Josiah, and then we'll come back to this. So, will the Clippers beat the Warriors? Are we talking about? Is it tonight? Yeah, it's tonight, right? Or no, they're playing Denver. They're playing Clippers tonight. Yeah, it's tonight. I would say the Warriors have had some rest. They didn't play their main guys against Denver. So I'll go with I'll say the Warriors win. What do you think, Combo?
Yeah, I would take the Warriors. I mean, they've been struggling a little bit lately with no Draymond, but the Warriors are the more talented offensive team, but the Clippers have been playing great, and I like their additions, but I'll go with the Warriors.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably they're probably going to not maybe make it, but I'll go with the Warriors. Josiah, what do you think? The Clippers or the Warriors tonight?
Will the Warriors play their players? Because they didn't last game, and it's a back-to-back.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I had thought when Kerr said he wasn't going to play him, he was going to do it on the next one, the game in Denver tomorrow or whatever it was, a couple days from now.
Well,
he did it in the first game.
Also, on the Draymond Green show, he illustrated how the Nuggets put some of their players when they had COVID really bad as pending for injuries, so they missed and postponed the game for Jokic to get back. So it's almost like they're kind of like just saying like F you guys too. Like just like you can have the game. We don't respect like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It was really bad planning and a rough addition to a season where they're continually trying to figure out a way to make it where it's not as hard and demanding on everybody. But like to throw it like in LA for the Lakers, right? It was LA, Denver, LA, Denver, right? Like that's just ridiculous. And they could have figured out maybe a different way to do it, and they didn't. So anyhow, well, Josiah, what do you want to talk about?
Cameron Johnson, he's like, is he the gold standard for shooting instead of Klay Thompson? Because he's Cameron. Well, listen, like according to your points of like dip, turn, like slow, like he's shooting 5.9 3-point attempts per game, and he's hitting 48.8% of them per B-ball reference, and like that's insane. That's almost 50%. Like the only way you would like want to extrapolate it is Curry, who's like shooting dang near 15, and we're like he has a low shooting year. He's shooting 15 shots from three. Like honestly, that provides more value than like I don't know. I think it's very interesting for like to just to see uncharted waters.
If you look at Cam Johnson's shots, in my mind's eye, you know, it's funny. The Suns are getting no love this year, and they really deserve a lot. He gets a lot of open shots, right? Booker and CP3 get those shots to him open because of their gravity. He hops into a shot as well, which I love. I mean, listen, he definitely would be a guy who you'd say, yeah, that's how you want to shoot the ball. And he's tough, and he's big, and he's long. Like he is such a key. I know Bridges is probably like the X factor for them, but man, to be able to have Cameron Johnson, like when the ball, if the offense starts to break down a little bit, or even if they just kind of start to swing it and you get it to him and he now has a little space to work with, he's getting to the basket. Like he really is just terrific. I love watching him play under control. Another guy we have to talk about would be Cade Cunningham, which, you know, for some reason connects to him. But nonetheless, yeah, without question, if you're talking about mechanics, Cameron Johnson's got beautiful mechanics. And it's great to see coming out of Carolina. Wait, he went to Carolina, right? Right? He went to UNC.
I believe so.
Let me check. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the UNC guys and even the Duke guys too sometimes struggle with the jump shots. But he went to Carolina for 2 years. He was at Pitt before that. So, you know, and again, another one of those things where he played 5 years in college. And, you know, he was kind of probably a pariah who wants to touch the guy. He's been playing for so long in college. But, man, he's polished. He was ready to go right away. And the Suns are completely benefiting.
In my opinion, I believe that, like, four-year college players are like almost should be more valued than other players, because we talk about like first round lottery picks coming in and being the guy. Well, if you play in 4 years in college, you already have more experience, and it's typically going to be in a role, since like in college there's like no one who's like the like extraordinarily high usage,
right,
with some outliers. Yeah,
totally.
One of my points,
thanks, but go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Is in the finals, I personally believe that like it felt like a total biased opinion, but Chris Middleton felt more valuable than Giannis at times. Because leading up to that, there was massive questions about Giannis's free throw shot attempts. Should he be shooting threes? Is he not shooting enough? And like Middleton was consistent. He was a bucket. He matched like plays, and like the ball was in his hands more than Holiday's, and like he like ran the offense and got like consistent buckets to where Giannis could do his thing. And like I feel like if anybody has 50 in like a game 6 win, they're getting the MVP. So can't argue. But I felt Middleton was extraordinarily valuable in that series.
That's the case with all those guys. You know, Michael had Scotty, and he needed, you know, Kerr to hit that shot. And, you know, what was the other? The point being, there's always like, oh, I know. When LeBron went on his run, when they were down, you know, 3-1, Kyrie was like every bit as good as LeBron was through that stretch. And it kind of got overshadowed because LeBron was that good, and he got the block, but Kyrie gets the shot. So you need that. That's not, it doesn't necessarily mean, but again, and that's also not the MVP award. The MVP award is for the regular season, right? So that's the other kind of disconnect on that end. But Giannis made all of his free throws in that game, so that was another one of those things that he overcame and was able to do in that one game. But I want to do my Michael Scott impersonation. Thank you. That is what I've been saying with Chris Middleton. I mean, you know what? I guess by me bringing that up, it's almost like I just feel like Middleton needs more respect, right? This guy, because it's not really would be his perfect role, but he's kind of doing it because they need him to do it. And how often does he have to hit these darn amazing shots from distance, and actually make passes too, where he deserves more. He's not like the MVP of the league, but like he should be talked about more, I think, is I guess what I'm trying to maybe move the needle a little bit more. So thank you for bringing that up too.
Yeah.
Now look at the numbers in the finals. I'd forgotten this. Like Giannis shot like 70%. Right, and scored whatever game, and Middleton
on mainly lobs. I
hear you. But he did.
Combo, I want to ask you.
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Combo, I want to ask you this question. Like, as a player, like, say Jokic or Giannis, if they're not closers in like last shot per se, but they create value and points before that, does that like make the closer argument irrelevant in your opinion, since like you've actually played and you have more experience?
Yeah, no, it definitely, I mean, look, 46 minutes of the game matters so much, right? So, I mean, that is more of the game than actually the last few seconds, but that's what everybody remembers. And it is important to have that guy. So I think it could be overrated, because I think when they were using it against LeBron, that was ridiculous. Like, he often, as Coach Nick said already, often made the right basketball play, and they tried to use that against him. But he proved he can be a closer as well. I also wanted to ask you guys about this, because it's back way far on Instagram when I said, even before Giannis would win a championship, Giannis will win a championship, but as a second option. I said that years ago, like it's still on Instagram. So are you guys telling me that came out to be true, or is Giannis actually the first option?
He's the first option. The last 2 minutes.
Okay.
We will remember Giannis as winning the MVP and scoring 50 points. So who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
right.
That's
Right.
true. That's true.
And again, I'm not doing it to denigrate anybody or pull them down. It's like, what's scary about Giannis is that there's a lot of room for improvement still. And, the dude scores 27 a game, gets 8 assists, whatever it is. It's like, well, okay, if he improves his game, does he go to 29 points a game? It's like, where are we going there with that? But it's those moments in the finals or even at the end of the games where, you need the supreme skill to be able to create something that I suppose I gravitate towards. And that's what I feel like is missing on his game.
Also, I feel like undersized centers are pretty prevalent throughout the NBA if they're not always emphasized. Brook Lopez, like, he's not undersized, different point. But Kevon Looney is 6'9". He's doing a really good job for the Warriors, like for his size. Mm-hmm. So is like Giannis, he's 6'11". So like there's value in like center without like those 3 inches. But when you get a really good center like Joel Embiid and Jokic, that's where the difference like starts to show. And I'm wondering, in the playoffs, when you're taking things away, you can't take away height. So I'm really interested in like how that plays out. And yeah, so that's what do you think they could do to game plan for post without double teaming?
Oh, they have to double team. I mean, listen, they could let Embiid and Jokic get 55 points.
You can't double Jokic though.
Yeah,
you really can't.
Yeah. I guess you have to play him straight up. And
what?
Yeah.
With Embiid, a potential game plan could be like force, like on the wing, force the touches to get to the hollow area, and then just send like a 2-9 defender like right on the block, just like staying right there, not a straight double. But I think that might give him more problems than Jokic because it's an extra decision. You could vary the reads very quickly, and then he's like, it would just kind of mess with him, but he'd get used to that really quick. So I'm not sure what you could do.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid's gotten a lot better at throwing skip passes to open guys on the weak side, where in the past
Yeah.
he could do that and he would not make that pass. If you want to
As
dig down
Giannis.
the strong side, and Giannis too, if you want to dig down on the strong side, that's the easy pass for Embiid to just throw it right back out to the wing, and the guy is off of that guy. So it's tough. You have to probably mix it up and continually change it, and hopefully have a big enough guy that can kind of body him a little bit when he's down low. Hope that he kind of gives up on that and stays in the perimeter. So the more that Jokic and Embiid stay in the perimeter, the better chance you have. But it's going to be tough, and you're going to have to score some buckets on the other end and tire them out. That's the other way, is you have to get going, because Embiid clearly gets tired, and so does Jokic. So if you can tire them out by going up and down a lot, then you have a chance in the fourth. But then you got to hope it's close by then. All right, Josiah, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, we'll see you next time. All right, we got some more people. We got Rough Soul on Twitter who wants to come on the show. So let's bring him on here. You know what? Let's do this. Let's bring in Born to Ball as well. Let's do a little. I know, Combo, you didn't want to do this, but let's bring more people than one onto the Twitter space and see what happens. I think, on my green rooms, it used to be fine. Are you guys there? Can you hear us? Russell and Born to Ball, you're on. You're ready. I know you guys are still muted, but hopefully you'll come on in a second. I know it's been a long wait. I apologize, but let's see if you're there.
I remember that Coach Nick. Oh,
Go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead, Combo.
Oh, remember the question about, which it was a great question about, is Ben Simmons a role player or a star? Like, this is not even about Ben, but can somebody be both? I think they could be both. I'm not saying Ben is both. I'm just saying in general, I think like Clay was probably both, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Clay would be the absolute upper echelon of role player, but okay. I mean, again, these terms are weird now.
Yeah. It's almost like the valuable thing, right? It's all semantics.
Yeah, right. But it's also like point guard, shooting guard, small forward. Like, what is that even anymore, right? It's almost like, and then people have tried, valiantly to create new names for these positions. 3 and D probably once.
Rashad Phillips got a whole position dictionary, which is really interesting. Yeah, no, people.
Oh, he does. So does he? Oh, we'll give Rashad a little love on the show, I guess. He sometimes gets some some crap on Twitter that I try and get away from or not be a part of. Let's see here. It looks like they kind of Born to Ball is back. I think we lost Rough something, whatever that was. But here, Born to Ball, are you there? He came back. Are you there?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me, Coach?
I can hear you. You sound great.
Hey, do you remember me? Pro Scout.
From what?
Pro Scout School.
Pro Scout School. Yes, I do. Well, let me look. Can I look
Born
at
to Ball?
Oh, yes. Now, okay, yes, I remember now. Yeah, how's it going?
All right, not too bad. Still out scouting.
Wow.
Still working, doing the same thing.
I probably said it when you were there, but with the ability to watch a lot of these games on, from your home, it's like primarily I would encourage that, because I know how hard it is to do what you're doing and have to travel all over the place, man. That's brutal.
It is, but it's something to be said about seeing it with your eyes. It's a lot different. Basketball is a lot different when you can actually see it, and you can hear conversations, and your body language kind of comes across a little bit better in person versus on TV.
I agree, but Coach Nick doesn't agree.
Well, it depends. If we're talking about the team scouting to see, what they're running, I don't think you need to be there. I think it's better because you want to be able to stop and go back and then diagram. So that's the thing. If you need to scout a player and you want to see how they are in the huddle and all that stuff, okay, I get it. That part. But a lot of these guys I know that do the advanced scouting to get what the teams are running, they're not close enough to the bench to hear what the calls are. So it's like, if you can't do that, then why are you there? I don't know. But you know what I mean?
Player scouting is definitely a lot more in person. Like you said, breaking down plays and stuff like that, you can get that off of video. Like you said, you may not be close enough to hear the calls or see the signals necessarily. So being able to go back and diagram and play, on video is definitely beneficial. I love the gym, so player scouting, that's just something I love to do on all levels.
Love it, absolutely. Well, what do you want to chop up about?
I had this little, for me, the whole Giannis situation. It's kind of like Dante DiVincenzo. You remember he's coming out of college and he was the most outstanding player for Villanova. They won a championship. but he was coming off the bench. And, Villanova had, a pretty stacked squad. And a lot of people come from Delaware. So a lot of people from Delaware was like, oh, he has to show he has to lead a team. It has to be his team. And to me, that's just false. You're a piece of a unit. So, yeah, Giannis may not, quote unquote, be the closer, if you will, or, had the ability to knock down that jumper, say a Kobe or MJ or whoever you want to call, that was that championship caliber player. But I don't think it takes away from his greatness and what he is, because for 46 minutes, he's a terror. You can't do anything with him. So you may not even get down to the last 2 minutes to where it's a close game.
Right. And that's the Shaq argument too. Shaq kept them, they were just dominant and up by so much. There wasn't a lot of those moments. And you're right. Like, there's a lot of check boxes you got to check to become an MVP. Right. And you can't just jump to say, well, are you the guy that shoots the final shot? Because then you could talk about the 28 players on the bad teams in the NBA that all do that. I just feel like, you got to start splitting hairs at some point when you get to that level of like figuring out who's the best player of the year. If it's like Luka and Jokic and Embiid, whatever, and Giannis, it's like at that point, how do you decide? I don't know. I might have to say, well, okay, let's look at who's the guy, who's the man, when the lights are shining the brightest, all that kind of stuff. And so it's funny because as a coach, I don't know that people want to say I'm a prisoner of the moment or I'm all about the hype or the glitz or whatever, but like that it's the actual other way. As a coach, I want to have that guy, and I want to be able to trust that guy and have full confidence that he is the guy that's going to create the best shot we can possibly get. And I'll be able to sleep that night knowing that we did, versus like having the nightmares of the ball being dribbled off a foot and going out of bounds or whatever.
Oh, Coach Nick, you know what? I just thought of something.
Yeah.
Do you think part of that perspective, and I'm not saying it's the wrong perspective, is you growing up watching Michael Jordan play, and that's exactly what he had at his greatest?
I mean, maybe, but like if I grew up in the 70s watching the Lakers, it's like Jerry West was doing that, I guess, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, Jerry West was great, but this was like the epitome of Jordan, right? That finisher, that closer.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's probably something. Yeah, that might be it too. But then again, as I started coaching, it's like you don't always have that guy, right? But if you ever had that killer on your team, it's like it just makes it a lot easier, and you feel a lot better about the game knowing you have that. If it gets down to that, and that's why I prefer it. But like either way, like look at the MVPs. Just look at the list. There are very few of the guys that have won it that don't fit what I'm describing, right? Very few. And so that's why it's not a hot take, right? I'm talking about 95% of the MVPs all had the ball in their hands to finish the game.
Well, yeah, no, I mean that fan base just takes it personally because it's their fan base, and they're going to go crazy when they hear anything about their guy not being the MVP. But it was no slight. It was no even real criticism. It was just talking about the type of player he is.
Yeah.
No, I think facts are facts. And obviously he can definitely shoot the ball a little bit better. Now, granted, he's up to 70% from the free throw line, which is an improvement. And like shooting the ball, he's almost at 30% from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And he's 29 points. So he's shown improvement even since he won the 2 MVPs. He's shown improvement. But I think there's something to be said for, like you said, 95% are this caliber player, this type of player. So you have to be pretty special to still win that award without fitting that mold per se.
Yeah, and I have no desire to even intimate that I would negate those rewards. Like I get it, I understand why you won it and they were deserved and all that stuff. And that was the other thing. It just seemed like a real extreme of like I can say one thing about that, and then somehow they took it as a whole bunch of other things that was not part of whatever agenda they thought I had. So it's interesting, but well, wait, we have a couple of super chats I got to get to because I feel bad because they've been sitting there. I kind of like they got by me, but hang on for 1 second and let me get to these and we'll come back to you. So Ant actually got his super chat on there with a question. If Giannis wins Defensive Player of the Year and his stat line 29-11-6, that should be his MVP case. Nobody talking about his defense. So that is a good choice. Like if he is almost as good as everybody offensively and he is the best defender in the league, does that do it? What do you think? What do you guys think?
Combo did mention his defense in the beginning of this live stream, but it is a great question, and I think that is definitely his case. Embiid and Jokic are both better offensive players than him, in my opinion, but he has that two-way ability that they might not have at his level.
Yep. What do you think, Born
is a pretty good defender. Joker, we know he kind of
Improved.
does it in the ball. He's definitely not a rim protector. But I think Giannis definitely does stand out because of defense, and I think he gets overlooked a lot because we like to look at the points per game and assists, and that's the sexy side of the game. But the defense wins championships, so where he lacks in some ways, he definitely stands out far above the other two when it comes to a complete player.
I mean, we all have to be honest, though. When we're rating players, it's not exactly 50-50 with offense and defense. Like, offense just usually matters more when we're ranking players all the time, right?
It's definitely a 75-25.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And I'm a coach. I'd hate to think that we don't value defense, but
No, we value it.
Let's see. 75-25 is a little bit extreme, but it's something like that for sure. And even when you look at the stats and you pull it apart and you realize the impact on defense versus offense, it clearly is weighted towards offense. If you have that impact, you're going to be much more of a profound player on the court. So for sure. Well, listen, we got a lot of people more to get to, and the show is getting later and later. And I know that Combo, you got to get back to your family and go to bed soon, right?
I am on the East Coast. East Coast.
Anyway, but thanks for coming on the show. Definitely, let's anytime you're welcome to come back and we'll chop it up some more.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. All right, we got another super chat here. So that was that one. Let's do we got this one here. EH Chaser, thank you very much, Eric. Very, very generous in the super chat. Thank you. How favored do you think the Suns going into the playoffs? They're so consistent, it feels like they never play terrible. LOL. Do still like the Dubs at full strength, but Suns are hella scary. Yeah, the Suns are not getting. I don't exactly know why, because they're coming off the finals appearance and they got the glow. They have the. They're winning even when they don't are at full strength. So they absolutely need to be the one that they're the team that's playing the best consistently without question. They have to be favored. Milwaukee doesn't play that way. In fact, in the past, we've seen this where a team wins a championship and they kind of like take on that. The next season's even better. They really absorb it. The Suns are doing that, but not the Bucks. And so anyway, I got to tell you, I think the Suns have to be heavily favored to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I would agree. Go ahead.
No.
Oh, it's a super chat. Who am I talking to? I'm talking to nobody. But anyway, yeah, like the Suns are way more favored in my opinion than the Warriors are. Like, I don't even, honestly, Coach Nick, I mean, I don't think this is a hot take. I've actually talked about this before the season, and then the Warriors went out to a great start. Like, I remember I was on Doug Gottlieb's podcast and I was talking about this. Like, I don't believe at all.
Wait,
in the
Doug
Warriors.
had you on his show?
Yeah, all ball.
He hasn't had me on his show. I was just talking with him.
Hit him up. Hit him up.
What the hell? All right, go ahead.
First of all, he would definitely. I think. Well, I can't speak for him. I think he would definitely have you on. But anyway,
I was just DMing him 2 days ago. So what the hell, Doug? I'm going to send him an angry message.
But anyway, I was telling him that I don't believe in the Warriors because, first of all, when they were great, they had better role players like, man, I'm blanking now. One of them's on Iguodala in his prime, not Iguodala now, right?
Right.
Who else did they have?
Barbosa,
yeah, all those guys. And then, they caught lightning in a bottle.
Sean Livingston.
Yeah, exactly. They caught lightning in a bottle. Like, the way they played was so different back there. The rest of the league almost caught up. I mean, then put on top of that, Klay Thompson's injury. Draymond played great this year, but I don't think he's quite the player offensively that he was in the past. Steph is not unanimous MVP Steph. And as I said before, the league just got better. So I never really believed in the Warriors as legit title contenders. And I definitely believe in the Suns as legit title contenders.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we got let's see, Big Dog 45's been waiting forever, so we got to bring him on here. And just what I don't request if you haven't yet, we're gonna end this show sooner than later. So we're gonna try and wrap up as quickly as we can. So Big Dog, are you there?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, and then Rough Soul on Twitter. I'm sorry, we lost you earlier, but I'll bring you on after this. But we'll get there. We're Rough Soul. We got Sirocco been waiting and Kai, and then let's cut that off. We'll close the doors behind us. So let's do it, Big Dog. What's happening?
Yeah, I'll keep it relatively short. At first, I was going to talk about Jokic and the ceiling and the floor between him and Embiid because traditionally big men are more like Embiid and back to the basket and things like that. And Jokic is a playmaking big in the sense. And from my perspective, playmaking is probably the most, I wouldn't say unimportant, but the least important thing for a superstar to have out of scoring, defense, and playmaking, because playmaking will always be dependent upon the teammates you have around you. And there's a lot of ways you can stop playmaking. Scoring and defense are totally, I wouldn't say, yeah, go ahead, Combo.
I think I totally disagree with you.
You disagree with that?
Yeah, I think all the league's best players have became better playmakers, and if they didn't have that, they probably weren't stars at the time. Like
Yeah,
that's what's allowing Jason Tatum to kind of make this leap right now, right? He's adding that playmaking. Kawhi got better at it over time. I mean, we see LeBron James is, Magic Johnson's, Larry Bird, Luka Doncic. I know Michael Jordan got better at it over time. I think playmaking is totally underrated and one of the most important parts of basketball because it makes everybody around you better, not just yourself.
No, I entirely agree with that. Playmaking is a very important part of it, but scoring and shot creation is what makes you a great playmaker. Aside from Rondo, you can't really name a lot of elite playmakers who are not actual elite scorers / shot creators themselves. You know what I mean? So that's why intrinsically, shot creation / scoring will always be more important than playmaking.
It's the gravity that will allow you to do everything else. You have to have, if you don't have that, you're right. Like, and Rondo, they'd play off of him and it'd be bogged down some things. I hear you. That's interesting. And for sure. And so is that why you're saying that Embiid is above Jokic?
No. Jokic, I believe Jokic is a better player. He's the MVP this season. There's no doubt. Like, who's Jokic's second best player? Maybe Will Barton's probably the second best creator on the team, But
Big Dog, how much of that is because of his playmaking?
Yes, Jokic is, it's because of his playmaking. It raises his team's floor. But I feel like at some level, playmaking will cap your team ceiling if that is, your best attribute of a player.
Yeah, of course. Like, it's almost about putting the defense in a conundrum, right? So you do need that scoring, as Coach Nick said, but you have to keep the defense honest with the passing, and that's so important. And just making your teammates better is so important because if you're not making everybody around you better, there's a big cap on your ceiling.
Yeah, but that was a question I was asking. Between Embiid and Jokic, who would you guys want to have on your championship team? Obviously, Embiid is, basically the argument I've been hearing is Embiid gives your team a higher ceiling while Jokic raises the floor. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think everybody here Coach Nick knows I'm going to go with Jokic. I would go with Jokic. Just like everything he does, he makes his teammates around him better. All those advanced numbers are saying that, are ridiculous. And his team, as you said, his team is not very good, especially with Jamal out. So, what he's doing with that team.
So I might say Embiid because of the defense. He's a little bit better defensively. He can recover and block shots a little bit better than Jokic can.
Jokic has improved as a defender this year, right?
He has. But still, I think Embiid's is quicker and has a little bit more of a natural ability to move quicker that Jokic just doesn't have. And we're talking about a fingernail on the ball that could change the shot for the win. You might want that because listen, there's no one who loves Jokic more than me. But I don't know, if I had to choose, I kind of think I might go with Embiid.
They're both great, so I mean, there's really no wrong answer there.
Yeah. Right. It's like Jordan. Well, you can't say it's like Jordan or Kobe because I would always choose Jordan. But it's like it's a tough decision, nonetheless.
Yeah, but my second question I'll go is impact versus versatility in the NBA. So I guess the epitome of this is Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is probably, in my opinion, the second best defender of the NBA after, Giannis, and then Rudy, and then I probably put maybe Draymond at third. So impact versus versatility. How important / impactful do you guys Rudy Gobert is, even due to the lack of his quote unquote versatility, when in reality it's not even his fault for a lot of it. The Jazz perimeter defenders are just that bad. Like they went 6-8 without Rudy Gobert, and the team is just awful without him. So, and a lot of blame is put on him for not being a superstar perimeter defender. I'm just like, that's not his role. He's a great rim protector. Even the impact metrics have him being an all-time one. Is that true? Maybe not, but
I always feel a little bit empty when I watch those games. There's something about the team and the way it plays overall. And by the way, Quinn Snyder is one of the best coaches. And they usually run good stuff, but there's just something about the way they played over the last several years that doesn't fit, doesn't work. Rudy bothers me. The hands, he's just not very polished on offense, even though he's gotten a little bit better. There's issues on defense I see too. There are times, if he is this guy that everyone says he is, where he doesn't go and contest a shot or two. And it's like, well, that's your only job, really. Then why are you taking off that play here and there? And I don't know. And it happens enough where it just bothers the crap out of me. And I wish I could tell you really what it is, but it's something about the way Rudy plays that drives me nuts.
You know what it is, Coach Nick? It's analytics ball. That's what it all boils down to. He doesn't go out there because he wants to, because they'll be like, oh, he shoots 42% from this spot or whatever, and then he'll just crash the rebound. I think that's what really has deprived the Jazz from going farther, along with, Donovan Mitchell being 6'1" at the shooting guard and things like that. The too small guard thing that I talked about maybe a month ago when I was on here. But yeah.
You think Rudy is thinking about his numbers while he's playing?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about like the people, like, so say Coach Nick was playing right. And if Coach Nick is a 32% shooter from, I don't know, the left elbow, you're probably not going to go out there and contest because you can get the rebound. I'm saying like the analytics are heavily making choices for the Jazz rather than, I guess the quote unquote basketball knowledge and eye test and things like that. Like analytics are important and they're a tool for the game, but I don't believe they should be the deciding factor. Like, if the Rockets win Game 7 and then beat LeBron, like the whole landscape of basketball has changed that year.
Hey, that team was like, when I talked to somebody within that organization about that system, it was even more analytically driven than I thought. They were crazy. Like their G League team, if you shot a mid-range shot and missed, you were out the game.
Yeah, right.
It was crazy.
But then they took it a step further where because they realized that the best outcome comes when Harden has the ball in his hands. Back to this old MVP notion, they distilled their offense down to that. Because the numbers told them that this is the best way to get a shot over, consistently, even though it wore them down and it made it for really tough shooting. It still showed and still proved that this is what we need to do if we want to get like the best, predicted field goal percentage on every shot. So, there's things to be learned that we're going to get to analytically that'll be better that they're not quite using yet. And we've talked about it before in terms of like lineups. I think the lineup data is going to be what the next level of analytics is going to give you. You'll know exactly who to put in and when and what to run when those teams are in based on who's out there against. And that needs to be crunched, with a supercomputer thing to do that. And so no more of these coaches just like by their gut subbing in and out. And I think that'll ultimately make players better because they'll know what the best optimal time is to play these players.
The agents are going to be happy with that when their players not part of that.
Into that one slot they don't want, because at some point what you might end up doing. I wanted to do this when I was a coach. Would have been you have we talk about positions and positionless basketball. I think you should have substitution patterns. So they're already in stone set, and you just plug the player into that position on the sub, so they always know when they're going to go in and when they're going to come out.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, it gets them. It kind of like gets you used to your rhythm and flow of the game, right?
Now, of course, foul trouble always becomes a problem, but that might only happen every third game. And by the way, so what? Maybe if foul trouble happens and you don't mess with it, and if they foul out, then you adjust at the very end or something. But I don't know. I would like to play with that too because I feel like it's too hard in real time as a coach on the bench to be like trying to deal with minutes and manage all that. So anyway,
especially with the star players, they do some of that already, right? Like they kind of, yeah.
In fact, they're going to go back to Steph's old version, which is probably going to be a good thing for them. That might actually unlock some things for the Warriors, and to put a bow on that one, they need Klay Thompson to get back to being somewhat more like what he was, and they need Draymond Green to get healthy, and that should solve the Warriors' issues. And they should be right back to where they were, which was, a dominant team that was favored to get to the finals. But there's a lot of, pieces that need to go perfectly for that to happen. So
too many questions, Coach Nick. Too many questions.
That leads me into my last question. Side note: Jordan Poole, they might need to, I don't know, but I won't even talk about that. Leads me. Small ball has revenue.
Talk about it.
But I'm going to talk. Wait, yeah. But small ball has revolutionized like the NBA and stuff like that. But as of recently, teams have been getting. I think it was like 2012, 2014, something like that, where the Magic were trying to go like ultra big because the Warriors are going ultra small. But like teams are getting bigger in the NBA. Like the Pelicans have been running double big. Obviously the Cavs, the Raptors are trying to do that. Everybody switchable, like 4, 6, 9 guys and Fred VanVleet. They they got the Lopez Bucks with Giannis out there, and then even the Celtics to an extent. What do you guys think about the NBA trending towards getting bigger?
The Pacers and the Magic you didn't mention either, and the Pacers broke that up. But
Yeah.
we know it's not working with the Magic. But you could go ahead, Coach Nick.
Here's the thing: the best 3-point shots are done when you get the offensive rebound and kick it out. So maybe you should be running two bigs that can get more offensive rebounds to get more of those shots. Like if that's what you want, then let's do that. And again, if it works, it works. The Celtics are doing this with Horford and Williams together, and because they have some shooting from Horford, they can do that. But you need to have the shooting, and I think what that is, it's indicative of how much better people are getting at shooting and spreading the floor. Back to my original point at the beginning of the show, which was we're going to end up seeing 40% 3-point shooters across the board on every position at the same time. And that's what we're building towards. So if you can get a guy who's bigger, who can play the center in the power forward position like they used to, and they can shoot that way, then great. You should do it. It's a good advantage.
We got two guys coming in to this year's draft that should be able to do that. Jabari and Chet.
Chet Holmgren's the #1 pick without a doubt in my mind, man.
I totally agree.
Chet Holmgren.
Whether he'll live up to that, I don't know. We'll see. But he'll be the #1 pick for sure.
Yeah, but thank you guys for allowing me to join in here. And last note, I think at some point you got to move the 3-point line back, man, because basketball is what's chess, and it's slowly turning into checkers day by day.
I gotta ask you one question though. What do you do with the corner three?
I have no idea, because that's gonna be a real problem just for like NBA places and just courts in general. I don't know if you have to eliminate it. Oh, I'm sorry. If you have to eliminate it, then you got to eliminate it. But
yeah,
once people are going to evolve, man. That's all I got to say.
Big dog, thank you. We gotta move on here, but we'll talk to you next time.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, let's do this as quickly as we can because we got people. I got Rough Soul. I got on Twitter. I got to bring in. I promise. And I got Sirocco and Big Dog and Kai. Let's do this really quickly. So let's try Rough Soul real quick if he's there still. Forgive me for being so long in the tooth here, but hey, are you there? Rough Soul, we're connecting. It's spinning. What's up? Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're all right. How you doing, Coach Nick? How you guys doing today?
We're good.
Doing well.
I would just like to say, like Coach Nick, I've been following your your YouTube channel since I was a freshman in high school. That was 2012 to 13. Wow. I've literally seen every video you've ever posted since 2012. Like, I really, really enjoy your content. I've learned a lot about basketball. Funny, the last guy mentioned chess. I grew up, I played competitive chess throughout high school. So I learned basketball from watching your videos. So I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. That's amazing. It's amazing. It makes me feel amazing and touched. It also makes me feel a little old. But
we'll just save that one for later.
I mean, well, let's put it this way. So you're like an adult living your life, right?
Yeah.
Wow. In high school, man. Well, there's by the way, there's a few of you guys out there. I know a couple of guys. Like there's a guy Rob out there who was like the 5th follower on YouTube, and we became friendly. And he started working with some NBA teams, and now he's at Second Spectrum. So we're still connected, and we do some stuff together. And it's the strength. And he was probably your age, And it was just it really is amazing what this has done and what social media can do and all these things. So anyway, I'm glad we got you on the show. Then thank you. What do you want to chop it up about?
So I wanted to talk about the impact of veteran leadership versus raw talent. I saw a graphic the other day, and it was asking who's going to be the next ace of the league, and it was Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, John Morant, or Jason Tatum. And all of my friends and everyone I talked to, everyone, even everyone on Twitter, that's where I saw it. They just jumped and said Luka Doncic and John Morant, and it's because they're looking at the raw numbers, which I think is great. They do put up incredible numbers, they're incredible players, they play amazing. But the one thing that I noticed that they don't have that Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell had was that veteran leadership behind them, and that brought me just to the thought of longevity. What will John Morant be doing in season 18 versus what Jason Tatum could be doing when he's in season 18? Because I went to the most recent Pistons versus Celtics game, and I sat right behind the Pistons bench, and I was listening to Marcus Smart. There was a scramble on the floor towards the end of the game. Marcus Smart and Tatum were both on the bench, and I heard them talking. And as the ball's in scramble mode, the Pistons are swinging it around from the perimeter to inside. Marcus Smart is calling out every pass and who it's going to as it's happening. And I just thought that was incredible. And then I went back and I started watching some film of Jason Tatum before December of 2021 up until now. And I can tell, like, it's that leadership from Smart when everyone thought that him calling out Tatum and Brown was going to lead to locker room trouble. I think they actually took that and ran with it. Because if you look at Tatum now, the decision making is insane. Whereas before he would put up bad shots, now he's a lot better at finding the open man, making the extra pass, relocating, letting the offense work for him. And the same thing with Donovan Mitchell. He worked behind he's worked behind both Mike Conley and Ricky Rubio. You know, some very like high IQ basketball players. They're both around the same size and frame as him, not as athletic, but that just goes to show that he had a better opportunity to learn from them. And then you look at other teams like the Suns. Chris Paul came in, and people thought Chris Paul's why they were winning. They're winning when Chris Paul isn't even on the floor. So
Right.
I just really like want to hear your take on it. A lot of people say that raw talent is so much better, but I really think like these guys who have these veteran leaders behind them, they're going to be the faces of the league for a long time.
Well, without question, at the NBA level, that there's a huge advantage to having that veteran, perspective on the game and now an IQ. So without question, at that level, you can negate some of that raw talent by knowing angles and knowing, being one step ahead of the play. It's funny that you mentioned Marcus Smart because I'm about to do a video. I think hopefully it comes out tomorrow. It better come out tomorrow. And I'm pulling apart all the numbers, what happened at the beginning of the year when they weren't good until now when they were the last 27 games. You want to guess who had their minutes cut severely in the last 27 games? Oh, did we lose you? Anyway, the answer is Marcus Smart. He got his minutes cut 5 minutes a game. So what they were able to do was pair out some of the bad stuff that Marcus Smart does that drives me crazy and get just mostly the efficient good minutes that he'll give you. So it's like almost like if you played him too long, he's going to make that mistake. So let's pare that down, right? Get rid of some of those minutes, and then we'll avoid those mistakes. So that's been happening. That said, he's turning the ball over way more now in the last 27 than he was per 100 possessions. So I can't win with the guy when I think, okay, I'm figuring something out here, and then he still has those issues. But the other thing that Marcus Smart has done is severely cut down his off the dribble threes. He's now getting a lot more catch and shoot, which then probably also goes towards the ball movement is better, and Tatum is moving the ball a little bit better, and they're finding him where he's shooting better. Marcus Smart shooting better from three because he's doing a lot more catch and shoots. So anyway, fascinating stuff with all that goes, and the ability for the Celtics, for instance, to with a new coach also figure this out and raise their IQ as a team is really great to see. And guess what? They might be the most feared team in the East going into the playoffs. Combo?
I do agree with that. I really like that point that they're going to be a really feared team going into the playoffs, because I've wondered since the beginning of the season what the disconnect was. They have like a lot of talent, and I think overall they have like one of the best teams in the league. Like, they have big that can stretch the floor and shoot. Robert Williams is probably the most underrated defensive player in the league right now, in my opinion. I mean, he's literally an animal everywhere, like within 18 feet to the basket. So I don't know. I've always just wondered because that was going to be my second question anyway. Just between the Celtics and the Bulls as well, what do you guys think the disconnect is? Why are the Celtics just now rolling, and why can't the Bulls beat a top seed in either conference?
Well, the Bulls, in the very least, they're just injured, and before I say anything about whether they're coached well enough and they blow these big leads, because they've had a lot of leads they continually blow in the second halves. I will say that, things will work really well for the Bulls if they have everybody healthy, and because of that, I'm not willing to say it's not going to work until that. So let's give the Bulls, the last 10 games of the year, 12 games of the year when they get Caruso back. Maybe Pat Williams comes back. Who are they missing? Alonzo. So when they get those guys back, I do feel like they're going to be extremely tough as well, but it might not be enough time to get all that, chemistry going. What do you think, Combo?
I kind of wanted to go back to, I think everything you said is right on the money about the Celtics and the Bulls. And you were kind of talking about, Luka, Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, all those guys, John Morant. And, you mentioned like 18 years from now or 17 years from now or whatever. Well, who knows? Probably none of them could be playing 17 years from now. But I would say that a big part of that will be how they take care of their bodies. And I'm specifically talking about Luka. I think if Luka finds a way to take care of his body in the right way, he'll be the best player out of all of them. And we could kind of look at Melo and LeBron as a case study, right? Like, one guy obviously took care of his body in a better fashion. I know Melo likes all the skill development stuff. I don't know exactly how he takes care of his body, but it's quite apparent that nobody takes care of his body like LeBron. And over time, it really means a lot how you take care of yourself in the long run. And I think that a lot of the time leads to longevity. Not saying that veteran leadership doesn't help, but I think that's going to be a big part of it for Luka, because right now he's not taking off seasons that seriously, and he can work his way into shape early in his career. I don't know if he'll be able to do that when he's 30, 31, 32, 33, 34.
Right. No way. And he's got to stop that crap now. It's he's a professional. He needs to act that way from the get-go in the offseason. It's it's not going to fly, which might, he'll realize he'll not get MVP consideration when he should, because he starts so slow. So maybe that'll be the motivation factor for him. But yeah.
And then I just have a one final question too, if that's okay.
All right. Well, real quick, because I'm sorry, we have to get. We're already an hour and a half into this, so but go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's just a yes or no question. Do you guys think that like LeBron James is going to win another MVP before he retires?
Ooh, that would be tough, because he got so much competition, and he might take time off during these seasons for load management reasons. I think it'll be tough for him to win, but never put anything past LeBron. I'll tell you that. Never count him out.
Yeah, never count him out, but no.
Yeah, that no is. I think he's performing just as well as everyone else in the MVP race, but I think people are just tired of seeing him, and that's why he's not winning. He really could have won MVP every season of his career, for being honest.
Yeah, certainly more than he has for that question. Yeah, but that's the narrative of the award, and they try and give other people a chance. So that's okay. I don't think he's crying too much about how many does he have? 3.
Yeah,
he's got a lot. So anyway, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, and thank you for being part of the conversation for so long. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure, no problem. You guys have a good night. All right.
Talk to you soon.
Good night.
All right.
See you.
Let's bring on Kai real quickly. If you're still there, Kai, I'm sorry. This got long. Are you there, Kai? Let's bring in Sirocco. He's been waiting too. Let's do it. Let's bring everybody in. Let's bring Chris in too. He's waiting. He's got a video.
All right.
Hey, Chris, what's up, man?
All right,
hey, Chris is a veteran of these live shows now.
Right.
Nice.
What's happening? Is Kai there? Is Sirocco there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay. Hey, Kai, are you there? Not yet. All right. Well, he'll come in. I apologize.
Okay.
There he is. Kai's there too. All right. So let's do Kai. I think so. Actually, Kai, go first, because I think you were waiting the longest. Go ahead. Although yours. We can't hear you. Are you muted? Kai?
He looks like he's lagging.
Yeah, he's lagging. That's the word I was looking for. It looks like. All right. Well, Sirocco. Oh, wait. You're not lagging, Kai, but we can't hear you. No.
Can't hear him.
We can't hear him. All right. Well, see if you can figure it out. We can't get you to have your mic. Damn. Sirocco, go ahead though, because
I know that the topic has been mostly about who's the MVP, but I'm more interested in who might be Coach of the Year this year, because in my eyes, it's probably going to be Monty Williams from Phoenix, but my runner-ups are Eric Spoelstra from Miami and Ime Udoka from Boston.
Ooh,
honestly, because like with both Spoelstra and Udoka have completely turned their teams around from how they were before. Mm-hmm. And again, like Spoelstra, if I may be speaking like a homer here, but Spoelstra deserves so much credit for this season, especially for taking a bunch of overlooked, underappreciated, undrafted talents and turning them into a bench mob for Miami this season. There's a reason they're number 1 seed right now. Mm-hmm. But you might have to give it to Monty Williams, because Phoenix is the team to beat right now. They're able to win without Chris Paul on the floor. Mm-hmm. How do you top that?
Right. It's funny because JB Bickerstaff was the front runner for a while there when Cleveland was doing really well, surprisingly.
Oh yeah.
He's in that conversation. I don't know, man. This is probably going to be the closest MVP race we've ever had, and probably the closest Coach of the Year race. Maybe, I don't know if those two things are mutually exclusive or not.
Oh no, that's fair. Kai, can we hear you now?
No, Kai.
Look at Sirocco being the host of the show.
Right. Not at all. Oh, I wonder. I can't hear you. I don't know why. It's like you're trapped in a you're like an anchor man trapped in the.
My advice, Kai, just maybe switch to your phone audio, I guess.
I don't know. It looks like he's on his phone. So, well, all right. Listen, let's go to Chris and see what Chris wants to say, and then we'll see what happens.
Hey, what's
Chris,
going on, guys?
and
What's up,
you
Chris?
sound great.
I wanted to ask you guys a question about. I don't know if you guys already spoke on this about Westbrook.
We did, but we could revisit.
Okay.
Put a bow on it.
So, Combo, do you do skill development and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is towards that end with Westbrook's jump shooting specifically. It's just so strange to me how someone could be so, I guess, I don't want to, I guess it sounds a little mean, like delusional with his idea of himself, I guess, that he doesn't feel like he should be getting better with his jump shooting. Because his misses aren't like regular misses. They're like really bad misses. And Coach Nick, you've done plenty of videos on this. Like,
Oh yeah, like Nick.
it's crazy with like when I watched a video on YouTube today of his misses, and like some of his backboard shots are hitting the top of the backboard, and like I don't know if I could do that on purpose if I wanted to, shooting a basketball, and he's doing it like on a regular basis. So like, where's the disconnect in the skill development with like, hey, there's an issue with my jump shot, I should probably fix this if I think like so highly of myself? Like, where's the ego and the skill development disconnect? Like, where is that?
Here's what I believe is happening. I don't believe that Russell Westbrook doesn't practice. I think he is one of those guys who do practice. It's probably just the wrong way over and over and over again, because you could tell his personality on the court is like, I'm going to do things my way and I'm going to try and make it work. And I believe that he probably is a hardworking guy that puts the time in. I don't know him personally. That's just what I believe. But I do believe he is practicing the wrong way. He's not getting the energy from his legs into his shot, and it's really flat. There's a lot of things mechanically going wrong, and that would probably take like half an hour to talk about.
Well, I broke that down. Did you see the video I did on him and the bank shots?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and it's not flat. He's shooting way too much arc on those bank shots, and that's why he's losing all sorts of control over it. So he's always got a problem with rhythm and when to release the ball, when he hangs in the air a lot, which, by the way, isn't the bad thing when you're pulling up off of a fast dribble to hang to kind of control the power. But he doesn't understand when to release the ball, and that's a problem. And then he changed the way something about the way he's shooting it now. Like, I think someone did something to him where when you watch the elbow, it kind of like goes up instead of out like that. It kind of looks like, to me, I got to really look at it frame by frame, but I feel like I've seen that more where he's going up and it's like the shoulder is now getting, trapped in there. You know what I mean? The combo, when you see that. And because you don't want to go down like that. You see people who sometimes just do that and they don't.
Because then it goes flat if you go down.
But you want that nice, where it straightens. Instead, there's this angle here becomes acute this way on the release, and that's all weird. It's almost like kind of like how you do a floater in the lane or something. So something has changed fundamentally with the way he shoots. So somebody's trying to work with him, but it's not working, and they should go back to the way it was. And I mean, I could help him. I've seen him work out like once, and it was a long time ago, but it was like whatever they were doing was just like not the kind of thing that was going to help address those issues. So somebody can help him. It's just he's got to find that person. So
put the time in towards it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm worried. I think if he ever saw me, he might, and he has any idea of what I've done in the past, like he probably would punch me in the face. So I wouldn't. But and I'd be ready. I'd be like, hi Russ.
He'd miss though. He'd probably miss.
Oh wow!
Yeah, with my luck, he might actually get punch me in the ear. Yeah. Anyway, well, let's wait. Kai is here, but let's see here. Can we hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh my god.
What was it?
I don't know.
Well, here you are. Well, you're going to be the final speaker. The last question. You have the honor. Please go.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I just keep forgetting my questions now for so long.
Well, all right. Well, you have here. No pressure. This is the ball's in your hand. It's the last shot.
All right. I got a couple now.
Okay.
For one, and this may be a little bit off topic. Will you ever do videos of like past teams or past players?
I have, and I would like to, or on the off season. I've done retro breakdowns, and they usually are really popular. Not a lot of watches for most of them, but or a lot of views. But like, I love to do them, and so yeah, I will pledge to you right now that when the off season starts, I'm gonna get back to doing some of those because those are fun. I mean, I know I did one maybe last year. I did one on the Last Dance, some of the Bulls stuff after that came out. I know I did a series on that. I also did a breakdown, which didn't even do as well. It's just fortunate about the Celtics Bulls 09 first round series when Derrick Rose.
Oh, wow.
You did do that. Yeah, that was my
That's
favorite.
such an underrated series.
Yeah, well, that's why I started B-Ball Breakdown, and so I did it. Like, it didn't like catch fire or anything, but it was fun to do. So I will probably do another one, and if it does well enough, then I'll do some more. But yeah, I love doing those, and I think to be a coach, you got to study the history of the game and understand what the strategies were in the distant past and then in the more recent past to understand how to coach today. So yeah, for sure.
Another question that I had, it's gonna be like a lot of past players and stuff. Why you think Kobe Bryant, when he was really young, is such an underrated defender? Like when he was playing with Shaq and stuff. Because for me, I feel like that was one of the best versions you can have as a defender. He kind of modernized defending multiple positions from 1 through 3. He was so athletic that even when he was undersized, he was still giving you rim protection with his great shot blocking. He seemed way more patient when he was defending players, where later in his career he was gambling and baiting like Michael Jordan used to do. I don't know. I just feel like one of those versions of Kobe Bryant is so underrated.
Well, and everyone can chime in. The one thing about Kobe was he got overrated, or overrated is the right word. Yeah, the second half of his career, he was not nearly as good a defender. So that's what we all remember, I think. Although during that time, he still was getting a lot of props for his defense, and I was always like, but he's not that good. And I'm talking about like 2010, 2011, he wasn't that same guy. But you are right. Like in the deep recesses of my mind, I can remember like when he was really young, being all over the place and doing that Michael Jordan impersonation on defense too. So I think it's a mixture of like, what the most recent thing we remember is probably the less stellar defensive stuff. But let's not forget, there were times that he was getting first team all defense that he did not deserve.
That is true.
Right.
Yeah. When he was 24, his best attribute was his man-to-man defense. But even then, he can slip up. And due to just his getting older and his bigger load on the offensive end, I think he just like, I'm too tired for this shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the way, we know this now, like when we're measuring, energy and have all things, the sensors and stuff like that, that there is a connection between like going all out on defense and like getting hurt. So, as I coach now, and I used to have smoke coming out of my ears, and I was that guy. I was like locked down, and I was going to die for everything and to throw my body around. And I realized it led to more injuries, and it really ended up making me worse. So we have to be careful when we're trying to get the best out of our players, that we're not like, having them go too fast or too hard where they're not on balance, under control. It's almost like you might try and tell it to a coach, a certain kind of coach who would think that you're crazy. There is no other way but 150%. But it turns out, to play the best, it's not. You have to play at 90%, and then figure out how to make 90% a little bit better. So,
Coach, I think you just described Giannis.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
And I think that's why Coach Bud always tries to limit his minutes, because he knows how hard he plays. Even if you look at the All-Star weekend, the little skills, whatever event, like he's trying so hard to win.
Yeah.
That's the competitiveness like you can't teach. And that's what makes him who he is. It's amazing.
And I see my problem was my competitive thing would overcome me, and I would ultimately like not be able to perform because I'd get so amped up, right? And when you watch the really good guys, they're relaxed, right? They have rhythm, and it's almost like they're laughing at the guy who's playing that hard. I don't know. Remember when like Paul Millsap decided to guard LeBron that way at some point, like maybe with the Hawks, and I was like, that was great. Look how he was doing it. And LeBron's kind of smirking, going like, no, you're not. You're too tense. You're too whatever. It's like I'm going to be able to go by you now because of that. And and I always wished I could somehow impart that kind of, and it's probably confidence, right? It's everybody else who can know, yeah, I'm going to be able to just, fake you whatever, and I'm going to be relaxed and rhythmic with it versus like smoke coming out of your ears. So, and that was the product of coaches who demanded that. And I thought that was how you're supposed to do it. So you're right. That's interesting. Maybe Giannis does that a little bit too much, and he'll learn that. Although at this point, he's probably who he is, right? He's what, 20? How old is Giannis? 28 now?
20. No, I think he's 27 now. Yeah,
27.
right?
But he's been in the league long enough. This is what he is. Short of on the margins, and maybe he'll get to 35% three and whatever, and 78% free throw percentage. Watch, like, talk to me in 6 years. It's exactly what his numbers are. But at any rate, yeah. So listen, guys, we've been going for an hour 45. It's the longest ever. Combo, I think, is sleeping. Oh no, he's he's got these kids. So we got to wrap this up. But man, thank you guys for all coming on. Thank you guys over on the Twitter Spaces too, because that was awesome. It really worked. So come back again. We'll talk more with everybody. All right, guys.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry for holding you out for so long.
No. Thank you I'm glad you figured it out, Kai. So we'll talk to you. There goes Kai. This is gonna be like the Matrix. Bye, Chris. Not like this. And then, all right, all right, Combo. It's you and me. Let's wrap this up. It's a great show.
Oh, awesome. I mean, it was so interactive. We added in this Twitter Spaces. We're just finding ways to get better and better. Can we get the applause chimed in? Are you queued up with that? Come on, Coach Nick.
How did I forget that? I mean, man. Oh, okay, there we go. Sorry. And by the way, I meant to tell you, I thought I had the other things queued up. I started following directions, and I cannot figure it out. I don't know how this works. So I might need a sound card or something to sub in there and make it work. But we're going to have new and improved sound effects for you the next time we see each other.
That's that clutch gene. That's that clutch gene right there at the free throw line. You have it. But we definitely need a round of applause. A round of applause to all the listeners out there, all the viewers.
Yeah,
we appreciate you.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you, Combo. Awesome stuff. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
I'm in. I had to count it down.